Well, your initial request, that was. This was not accepted by the court. The situation in the Republic of the Philippines case, the prosecutor versus Mr. Rodrigo Roa Duterte, case number ICC 0121-0125. And we are in open session. I now turn to the counsel for the defense of Mr. Duterte. As everyone can see, Mr. Duterte is present and is attending the hearing via video link. As Mr. Duterte made a long journey involving a considerable time difference, the chamber authorized Mr. Duterte to follow the hearing at a distance. His counsel, however, is present with us in the courtroom. Thank you, counsel. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. I am Salvador C. Medjaldea, counsel for Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Now, I would like to speak to you, Mr. Duterte. I'm speaking French, but you are receiving interpretation of what I'm saying in English. I understand that you are at ease in the English language and that the interview yesterday at the detention center was conducted in English and that you did not deem it necessary to request interpretation into any other language during this interview. This said, I would like firstly to confirm your identity. Could you provide us with your full names, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I am Rodrigo Roa Duterte. That's my first middle name is Roa. The surname is Duterte.
What is your date of birth?
Again, ma'am.
Can we request that the question be repeated? I don't think he heard it. Thank you.
Repetition from the English booth. What is your date of birth? Yes, thank you very much, counsel. I was asking quite simply of Mr. Duterte what his full names were, and then I subsequently asked him what his date of birth was and what his place of birth is. Is that all right, counsel?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Of course, I do. My birth month this day is March 28, 1945. I was born in the province of Leyte in the Philippines.
You may be aware that these two motions have not been accepted by the chamber because of the nature of today's hearing. No further discussion on the matter is necessary during this hearing because, as I said at an earlier stage, the aim of this hearing today is to introduce the parties and to ascertain the charges and to set a date for the confirmation of charges hearing at a later stage.
7 March 2025. Pre-trial Chamber 1 concluded that there were reasonable grounds to believe that Mr. Duterte is criminally responsible pursuant to Article 25(3)(a) of the Rome Statute as an alleged indirect co-perpetrator for the crime against humanity of murder pursuant to Article 7(1)(a) of the statute as follows. A. Murder of at least 19 persons, allegedly drug pushers or thieves, killed by members of the Davao Death Squad in various locations in or around Davao City, Philippines between 2011 and 2016. B. Murder of at least 24 persons, allegedly criminals, such as drug pushers or thieves or drug users, killed by or under the supervision of members of the Philippines law enforcement, sometimes with the assistance of persons who were not part of the police, at various locations in the Philippines between 2016 and 2019.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la...
Thank you, Madam Courtroom Officer. Yes, Counsel.
Yes, Your Honors, please. 2 days ago, the whole world has witnessed the degrading fashion in which a former president of a sovereign country was bundled into a private aircraft and summarily transported to The Hague. To us lawyers, this would be called an extrajudicial rendition. To the less legally inclined, it was a pure and simple kidnapping. My client was denied all access to the legal recourse in the country of his citizenship, and this all in the nature of political score settling. Two troubled entities struck an unlikely alliance, an incumbent president who wished to neutralize and choke the legacy of my client and his daughter on the other hand, and a troubled legal institution subject to delegitimization and desperate for a price cuts and a legal show today on the other hand. With this in mind, it is not surprising that my client was abducted from his country. ICC private jets do not drop out of the thin air. That jet which received my client was coordinated in advance. The UAE is not a state party to the ICC and has no obligation to cooperate with the court. Yet my client sat in transit in that country for more than 5 hours. I invite the registry's representative to present today in court to explain to the judges exactly how they believe this transfer was anything other than a gross abuse of process. Given the precipitous arrival of my client, an elderly man with debilitating medical issues, hard of hearing and poor of sight, he was taken to a hospital for observation. Only this morning have I met him for the first time with less than an hour to discuss legal issues. I have not been able to present him with a hard copy of the arrest warrant because we were not supplied with such. I have not even been able to explain to him what the prosecution requested when seeking the issuance of the arrest warrant. This is because the chamber only established a redacted version of the prosecution request last night. Other than to identify himself, my client is not able to contribute anything to this hearing. Most importantly, he is not able even to tell you that he has been informed of the charges as contained in the arrest warrant for a reason more pertinent to which I alluded in my written request to this honorable pretrial chamber this morning, and which is confidential in nature. Accordingly, I repeat my respectful request, which was rejected this morning, to postpone the substantive aspect of this hearing to the next week, when I will have the opportunity to sit with my client and to explain to him what a confirmation hearing is and what the disclosure is and how the prosecution alleges that he committed crimes. I thank the court for its attention and regret to say that I do not have instructions to continue my submission any further today. Thank you.
To your request for another hearing to be held next week. Well, your initial request, that was. This was not accepted by the court.